Hello, folks. Glad to see you all here. We're here today with some people who have lost loved ones, and through that loss are determined to move forward and help make sure that the rest of us don't suffer similar losses. I'm Brian Miller. I'm Executive Director of Heeding God's Call. It's a faith-based and grassroots organization devoted to reducing gun violence. And many of you know that I lost my brother Mike to gun violence many years ago. I'm not going to say much more now. I'm going to introduce the people we have behind me, which will take a little while, but you need to know who all the people that are here. We have both the folks from Newtown, and we have advocates from New Jersey, and legislators as well.
Good morning. My name is Nelva Marquez Green, and I'm Anna's mother, who was murdered on December 14th at Sandy Hook Elementary School. And I'm also Isaiah's mother. He overheard the execution of his sister and 19 of her friends, and 6 of his staff and teachers. As difficult as it is for me to be here, I owe it to my sweet caramel princess Anna to make sure that I do everything I can to speak up and help end gun violence. It is an unfortunate honor to be in New Jersey this morning. My children and I have spent countless days in New Jersey enjoying Teaneck, where our family lives. The truth is, what happened in Newtown can't happen in any town. I am so grateful that New Jersey leaders understand this. In an instant, any mother in America could be in my shoes, and no one should ever have to feel that pain. I'm here for Anna, and I am here for the 8 children we lose daily in America to gun violence. I am here today asking the New Jersey legislature to reduce the number of rounds in magazines from 15 to 10, excuse me. I support the Second Amendment, and I have no interest in taking away anyone's gun rights. But I know that outside of a shooting range, the only use for large capacity magazines is to kill as many people as possible. Limiting the sale of high capacity magazines does not affect a hunter's ability to enjoy their sport. While there are many unanswered questions about December 14th, we know that lives have been saved when a shooter has had to stop and reload. At my daughter's school, 11 children had the opportunity to escape when the shooter reloaded. Anna would not have been one of those children that was saved, but I'd be happy if there were more survivors that day, even if Anna hadn't made it. We ask all senators and assembly members to please take action. While federal policy is being debated in Washington, the states can take the lead to make our community safer and ultimately save lives. Thank you.
Say who you are.
Of course. Hello, my name is Nicole Hockley. I'm here today as the mother of my beautiful 6-year-old boy, Dylan Hockley, who was killed on December 14th at Sandy Hook Elementary School. Although it's extraordinarily difficult to come out and do this and keep doing this, I feel I owe it to Dylan to advocate on behalf of stronger gun legislation so that no other parent has to feel the pain that we feel. We are determined to turn our tragedy into transformation that saves lives. At the beginning of this month, we worked with our state legislator in Connecticut to strengthen our gun safety laws in order to reduce gun violence. These laws do not interfere with the Second Amendment rights of the vast majority of gun owners who are responsible and law-abiding. These laws are instead designed to keep guns out of the hands of criminals and others who are dangerous to society. Although we don't live in New Jersey, the issue of gun violence transcends state lines and politics. We're your neighbors by geography, but we're just like you in our desire to keep our children and our communities safe. New Jersey should not wait until there's a Newtown that happens here. No state should. Every day, deaths due to gun violence can be prevented, and that's why we are here today. New Jersey has already done some extraordinarily good work to create some of the strongest gun safety provisions in the country, and we applaud that. We're here to support this legislation being considered, but in particular to address a key component we believe is missing, the reduction in the size of magazines to a maximum capacity of 10 bullets. Because we learned, the way no other parent should learn, that the most dangerous part of an assault weapon is the magazine. The horrible, brutal truth is that 154 bullets were fired in 4 minutes, killing 20 of our children and 6 of our educators at Sandy Hook. The shooter carried 10 30-round large capacity magazines, that's 300 rounds. He chose to leave the smaller capacity magazines at home, knowing he could kill more people more quickly using higher capacity magazines. We have learned that in the time it took him to reload in one of the classrooms, 11 children were able to escape. That was Dylan's classroom. He was not able to escape. So I'm one of those parents who ask myself every day, every minute, if those magazines had held 10 rounds instead of 30, forcing the shooter to reload many more times, would my son be alive today? So please hear us. Have the courage to stand up for what you know is right, and we urge the New Jersey legislators to limit large capacity magazines as part of the comprehensive gun legislation being proposed. Thank you.
We'll now hear from Nicola Bokor of Ceasefire, New Jersey.
Hi, thank you. I'd like to thank, as a New Jersey advocate, the families from Connecticut and the legislators who have been working very hard on strong gun legislation in New Jersey. In particular, obviously, I believe we have up here the Assembly Majority Leader Lou Greenwald and Speaker Sheila Oliver. From the Senate, I'm proud that we have standing with us the sponsors of the 10-round bill, Senator Nia Gill and Senator Loretta Weinberg. The work being put in is inspiring, and we are grateful that here in New Jersey we can get things done. But it's really important to not leave out the inclusion of the 10-round magazine as we move forward to a vote for in the Senate in May. This is a very common sense measure. In addition to the powerful statements that you just heard, this is a measure that does not impact the rights of gun owners, but instead is focused on saving lives. We have inconveniences daily that we take, that we accept, that we embrace, because it's in the interest of public safety. When you are playing a round of golf, you will take your time and you will switch clubs. When you or your family member is playing a contact sport, you will spend significant time in the locker room, putting on pads, making sure you're protected. The difference between what we're asking the legislator to do today and those measures that people already embrace when it comes to dangers in sports is that this package, this bill, will save the lives not just of those participating in the sport, but also those outside. There isn't a reason in the world I can think of that we shouldn't be listening to exactly what was just said and be including this bill. And I sincerely hope that it will be a part of the package when it goes to a vote in May. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll hear from Mandy Perlmutter of Moms Demand Sense about... I'm sorry, you tell me.
Hi, my name is Mandy Perlmutter. I'm involved with Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, New Jersey. We are so grateful to the families from Newtown for being here today, and I know that I speak for countless parents, mothers and fathers when I say thank you for fighting this fight, and thank you to all of our elected officials who are here supporting this effort. Almost 80 people in New Jersey have died violent gun-related deaths since the tragedy in Newtown. Surely closing loopholes, as these measures will be a step in making our streets and communities safer. It will take time, we know, but without actions, our communities will only become more dangerous and our children more fearful. So thank you. Just to reiterate, we hope that our legislature will be bold and support the reduction in magazine limits to 10 rounds. Thank you.
I just say it, not to contradict Mandy, but I frankly don't think it takes boldness to get this done. This just makes so much sense and is so supported by the people in this state that I'm a little puzzled why we're even standing here today and why these people have taken the time to come down from their time to talk to you, to the citizens of this state and the legislators of this state. You heard that, and you all know that just in the last couple weeks, things have ground to a halt, if you will, in Washington to bring national change. New Jersey has always been a leader on the issue of preventing gun violence, and it's time. And we have always pulled the other states in the country on this issue. And I think it's obvious that we need to do that again, and that this is a great opportunity. Both houses have put forward strong packages of legislation. We have some issues, perhaps, with some issues, but without a ban on these high-capacity magazines, there'll be a glaring hole. And we're determined, and when I say we, I mean our coalition of New-Jerseyans for Safety from Gun Violence, and we're going to be working with the folks from Newtown, and we're going to expand our coalition, and we're going to do everything we can to make this happen, and it's my view that it will happen because the citizens will demand it. So that's the if you will, formal portion of this. We'll take a few questions, and we thank, again, everyone for being here today.
Would you talk a little bit about the level of frustration you're feeling after what happened in Washington, what's happening here, the resistance that you keep getting, given what happened? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
I think we're discouraged. We're disappointed. We're not discouraged.
Come up to the mic, sir. I'm sorry.
As far as our level of frustration over what happened in Washington, we were disappointed. But I think we all remain committed to seeing this through, and I think we have the support of most of America. And that transcends politics. It's just about saving lives, and I think everybody can get behind that.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Nobody, I'm sorry, I don't mean to speak for you guys, but I think it's fair to say that nobody woke up in the morning and thought this was going to be easy. We knew that this was going to be a long a journey, and whatever we can do, we're going to do it. And I think it's really important to stay focused on efforts that have passed and people who are making change. And some things are changing, unfortunately, due to our tragedy. And we don't want there to have to be another tragedy in order for more to change. And that's my biggest frustration.
What happened in Washington, it's upsetting a little bit to know that 90% of the Democrats supported common sense gun change and background checks, and 90% of the Republicans did not. And it's something that 90% of the American population does support. There's many changes that have to happen, I feel, to make the change effective. And one of the main characteristics in all these mass shootings was an assault-style weapon or with high-capacity magazines. My son Jesse was in Dylan's class. There were 5 children murdered that day. There were 11 that survived. It said that Jesse yelled, "Run, run now." And 4 of those children ran and 4 more ran. It was while Adam Lanza was reloading. And he went into that school with 11 magazines, high-capacity magazines with 30 rounds in them for that assault rifle. 154 rounds were fired. Along with that, he had 22 other magazines on him with the capacity of 20 rounds in each of them. That's over 700 rounds of ammunition. And that was enough to kill every child in that school. And if he had to reload 3 times instead of 1 time, there would have been more lives that were spared. And probably my son Jesse would be alive today, along with Dylan. And it's something I don't wish upon any person or any family to ever have to deal with. And we all support the Second Amendment. And these are just common sense changes that will save lives.
But we're not talking about opposition that is the reason that this bill is not up. It could be up. It's up to the leadership and I'm sorry, I'm going to get in big trouble for this, but frankly, it's time for the leadership to move it. And that's why we're here today, to try to get that to happen. So thank you very much. We're glad.
I'm sorry. I have just briefly. I've worked hand in hand with Loretta and Nia on this package. We've met numerous times. The reason many of you have asked, why am I standing so closely and so tightly and committed to my legislation? And I've said to you time and time again, it is not my legislation. It is these parents' legislation. It is in the spirit of the souls of their children. It is my children's legislation. I have 3 children. Many of you have met them. I debated whether or not to bring them here today. I wanted to bring my children here today because I think this is one of the greatest educations that they could receive. It was a challenge for me to decide. But I can remember in my time here when I started my career with Loretta and Nia in the Assembly, all 3 of my children have been born while I have served here. And on many of the late nights when I would leave all of you and I would go home when they were infants, I would sneak a glimpse into their crib just to see them breathe, because I could not believe that I had been given such a gift as these children. After this tragedy in Newtown, after the tragedy in Arizona, I have to tell you, after Newtown, I watched my children leave my house and I peeked a glimpse through the curtain to watch them get on the bus because I was afraid that I may have taken for granted the moment of seeing them. That night, even though my oldest daughter is 15 and my twins are 12, I came home that night again to watch them breathe because I wasn't sure how safe they were anymore leaving. This is not a continual battle where we have to go forward. The assault weapons ban limited the capacity to 10 in the 90s. It was effective. We are going back to that period. This is something that is common sense. When this maniac left his home on that day to go to this school and attack these children, a maniac had enough common sense to leave home the magazines with lower capacity. When someone asks, what is the difference between 15 and 10? When Congresswoman Gifford went to a supermarket shopping center to meet her constituents, as we do all the time, a young 9-year-old girl wanted to interact with her congressman because she loved government and politics. Much like I watched, as many of you knew my mother, watched her do that at the supermarket. That 9-year-old girl was killed with the 13th bullet in that chamber. The difference between 15 and 10 could be your child. It was their child. As a parent, I sat on my sofa and watched these families testify about why this was important to them, and their words echoed in my heart. I heard them talk about how they used to sit on their sofas and watch the news as they would hear about these tragedies happening time and time again, and the sorrow in their minds and whether or not they thought it would happen here, until it did. If this tragedy had been transplanted from Connecticut to New Jersey, the reality is we'd be passing this legislation now. And the lesson learned is, if it happened in Connecticut, it can happen in New Jersey, and we should not wait. Speaker and I, and the Senate sponsors of this legislation, I believe, are open to compromise and discussion. We have offered amendments to the entire package, and I applaud the governor's office and I applaud the Senate, because there are worthy components in each of the packages of bills. But ladies and gentlemen, the truth of the matter is this legislation, as Majority Leader Weinberg and I originally started to craft it, was designed to do something very simple. It was designed to walk a balance between preserving the Second Amendment and preventing gun violence. And without this piece, we will fail on the portion of protecting against gun violence going forward. Ladies and gentlemen, we are passing legislation to ban high-powered laser printers. We have worked on legislation because a child tragically lost their life in a baseball game because they were hit with an aluminum bat, a ball that came ricocheting off that aluminum bat. What are we talking about here? These are high-capacity magazines that will not affect the single use of a single gun in the state of New Jersey or anywhere in the country. It is something that had already taken place during the 1990s and was incredibly successful during the assault weapons ban. We are not fighting for some new right. We're fighting to go back and find the balance between what has worked and we know has worked. I will not rest until this passes. And this is not about a package of bill versus another package of bill. It is not a dispute between Democrats. This is, when the tragedies took place around the country and when the tragedies took place in this school, nobody went in and identified the bodies by their voter identification card. This is not about politics. This is about common sense. It always has been, it always will be. And our commitment is to continue to fight for that message until this is over. These families deserve no less. These children will touch more lives in their short lifespan than most of us will touch in our entire careers. The legacy of these children, the impact that they will make, will save tens of thousands of lives by the passage of this legislation. It is done not in their memory, but it is done in their honor. And it is done for what they stand for. And their parents are fighting for that honor and that memory. Thank you for being here.